Hey guys, hello. Dave, you are here. Like, Kiri, look at you. Oh, good evening. Good evening. You were just the loud one. Oh, yes. Let the party begin. Woohoo. Yes, absolutely. Um, you've orphaned twin Tyndale kids. Oh my goodness. Um, I bet they are kind of loud. Hello, 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 everybody. Parker, hello. Glad you could make it. Oh, thanks, Dave. That's great. 11 days old. Julie, hello. Good evening, everyone. How was your week? And how's your weekend? Michelle, hi. Good evening. Good to see everybody. Oh, I was so tired this evening. And I didn't know if this was even going to go on. It took, oh goodness, like 20 to 25 minutes for it to even connect for me tonight. So I was like, oh no. this the Google was acting up for live stream here tonight. So sorry, just lotion. Oh, Shady Hill Homestead, hello. Good evening to you guys. Um, yeah, because I would load everything in, it would just spin and spin and spin. So I'm hoping that we have a good connection here. Aw, thanks, Dave. Thank you. Appreciate it. I know the Google. That kills me. Miss Lippy, she always calls it the Google. The Google wouldn't let me do this, or the Google said this. Oh, what is Justin Rhodes called it? Mr. Google? Mr. Google Pants? Or something like that. Hey, Patty, hello. Good evening to you guys. Oh, not too many more evenings. It will be light out yet when I go live. So the sun is already setting by the time we get done here, but we have a beautiful sunny evening. Yay! So good. Um, Patty, hello. Oh, Tinker's Wife, that's wonderful. That's just totally fine. I get it. So I know I'm trying to refrain from doing that, Dave. Absolutely. Uh, we're not quite ready for it yet. And there's nothing like that in the forecast yet. So we are, well, today was upper 70s. The next couple days, next 3 days, are going to be in the mid to upper 80s. And then we have a front coming through, and then we'll be 60s for the highs, 40s for the lows. So kind of that going back and forth transition time thing going on. You're finally getting rain out there. Yay! Oh, I know, Dave. So do I. I haven't pulled my carrots yet. I have a number of things I'm going to have to do. So there will be a couple Mondays in October that I won't be able to be live. And so I will, I'll let you know. But not just taking a break, but I will be gone. And but I got a lot of things going on here. Oh my goodness! In the last few days, it's just like stuff is exploding around here in the way of bringing things in to have to work on. I know I'm a glutton for punishment. I think the squash garden that's been kind of just sitting there on hold all summer. I finally got a load of cement blocks in because I'm going to make the beds out of cement blocks. And just for back there, it's going to be just easier to maintain. I don't have to worry about it and all that kind of stuff. But about 3 tons of cement block that I have to move. I just got 7 yards of dirt in today because I have to level it back there and then put hardware cloth down and weed barrier, and then I'm going to build the beds first. I'm going to have 3 beds in there. They're going to be about like 4x10s. And so build those first and fill them up and all that. and then do the perimeter fence. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all done before the W word. Oh, but it is, I'm looking back there and it's just, I'm like, oh, I need about like 10 people to just come in and just have like an old fashioned work day, just community. But yes, there's going to be a lot of hauling. I tried to put everything as close to where I'm working as possible. So, and I also got in 3 yards of gravel today to make a pad for a shed that's coming. So I'm just like, it's just, there's a lot of work and then to be gone for a while. So yeah. Yes, the W word that shall not be spoken. Exactly. That which shall not be uttered. But the block wall cells are open, scored, they're great planters. Exactly. And I'm going to use for some of that. For some, I do have like 2-inch high 8x16 blocks that I'll be able to cap everything off on too. But some I'm going to leave open to do that. I don't want a lot of maintenance back there, but I will be putting some things in there that will be more like the plants that will help repel certain pests and different things like that. So I will do that. And but yes, Dave, thank you. And I'm not going to glue those top parts down so that if I want to remove one, and plant something up there, I can. At least that's the plan. After a year, I might be like, oh, these things keep moving all over. They're driving me crazy. And I'm just going to glue them all down. I don't know, it might be. But yes, I do have actually enough area for strawberries, but it would be for, other, like I said, other plants that can help repel different pests and insects and different things like that. Thank you, Dave. Yes, that is a good idea. So they're not going to be high. They're going to be stacked for the beds, just 2 high. So it would be 16 inches and then the 2 inches for the cap. So it's about an 18-inch high bed, which isn't very tall, but it's plenty. And the reason I want them kind of low is because it is my squash garden and it's going to sprawl. And I just want that area to be contained for sprawling. I don't have to worry about finding onions in the middle of all that or finding tomatoes or digging around and doing that. So just letting it go. And I am planning on doing at least, maybe like 2 cattle panel trellises in there too. So spacing things out right. And the ground is not level enough back there. So that's why I had more dirt hauled in. So I have to level it all out and tamp it down. And I know what, every single time I'm going to be tamping, I'm going to be thinking of Jim and Jess at Green Dream Project. And I'm just like, okay, Jim, I feel your pain. I'm going to be tamping. It's like, oh, so, yep. I'm going to be, oh, Dave, thanks. I think I'm more a glutton for punishment than anything else. I have all these ideas. Like I said, I think I'm, I could still do what I did when I was 30. And I just, all I want to do is just kind of take a nap. That is true. They do have the gift of youth. They are, they're good, almost 20 years younger than me. So that makes still made it proper. I like that. Yeah, they don't have things that are going to break yet. You had a tough time getting cucumber seeds to sprout and grow. Oh, you know what? I think that's one that just likes it when it gets it a little bit cooler. I had so many plants that just didn't want to do anything when it was in the 90s and 100s. And once we cooled off to the 70s and 80s, they just took off. So, you know what? I think it really helps when there are two of them together, and they're working together to get, you know, one is like, hey, come on, let's go on outside and let's do this, and plus they've got a goal and a vision, and it's their house that they're building too. So, oh, that's awesome, Dave. I got 2 or 3 cucumbers, and none of them were were worth even saving. So, yeah, bad spot for them. So they're going to try to grow some in the squash bed next year. So that whole area is going to be about 14 by 25. So I'm going to fit 3 4x10 beds in the center of it, in the middle of it. So, Matt and Sarah, hello. And kids, if you're listening, hello to you. Oh, well, you're feeding them well. They're going to wonder what's going to happen to their diet after, once the W word comes in. That season, which we shall not speak of, when that finally comes in, and they're going to be like, we're just down to feed again. What happened to all the fresh food? Eliza, hello. For anybody who doesn't know, Virna, it's right, Virna Farm, I think, because it was a different pronunciation. So that is our friend Eliza she used to be in just west of me. Now she's way up near Lake Superior. So, oh, okay. So you do get them stuff all winter long. That's awesome. Eliza, how are you liking your farm so far? I mean, it's just beautiful, the pictures you've been posting. I'm so happy for you. You had a bunch of sweet potatoes that sprouted. You planted a bunch today. Question of the year: freeze sweet potatoes next year or compost? So for those of you who've grown sweet potatoes, what do you think? Julie, can you weigh in on that? Or oh, that's awesome, Eliza. That's so great. I'm so glad. It's just a beautiful spot up there. It really is. I know. I really would like that too. I think here you need to have a greenhouse in order to do sweet potatoes, because they just need a much longer time for warmth and sun and stuff. But now Chelsea at Little Mountain Ranch did sweet potatoes for the first year. She got a few, not a lot, but she was so excited to even get a few of them. So, oh, they love the heat. Yeah. So for our shorter growing season, that's kind of hard. So we have been pretty much dry and warm. Towards the end of this week, it's supposed to have like 3 days of rain. So you're wondering if a caterpillar tunnel with plastic could give you enough season. I would think that could work. Oh, so cool, Eliza. That's great. Yeah, Dave, if you keep it covered and keeps the soil temperature warm enough, I would think that would work. I would think that would be okay. So yes, lots of building going on for me. Like I said, this has been a year of building and rebuilding, and I'll probably just totally wear myself out from this year, and just like next year I can just plant and just like water and just watch things grow. I'm hoping it's that way next year. Oh, I've had enough, a couple busy years here. A slow and steady wins the race. Yeah, I know. That's why I have to be careful of, Dave. The squash garden, if the only thing would be, I want to make sure I get the dirt pile because it's huge. 7 yards is pretty big. I want to get that spread before it freezes solid. And otherwise, next spring, when the rains come and everything, it'll just be a mound of weeds. And I just don't want to get to that point. So if I can at least get that done, get it leveled, and get the 3 beds built and filled. And then if I don't get anything else done before things freeze solid, then I'm okay with that. But if I can at least get to that point, that would be good. Yeah, Kiri, absolutely. Hi, Alicia. Oh, I am so sorry. Sweetie, you don't even need to be here. You should, you'd be with your family. Unless this is a comfort to you, which I would be amazingly honored. But don't worry about even being here. I'm so sorry. Was that your uncle's that passed away last year? Was that your uncle's wife then? Or we'll be praying for you and your family. So yeah, no apologies needed at all. I got there's an excavating company down the road that does sand and gravel and dirt and rock and that kind of thing. So the soil they get is from it's sifted and cleaned and everything, but it's mostly from barnyards. So it's good, rich soil, but it's mostly, I'm going to use it for filler. So like I said, to level out the area in the yard, and then I will fill up the beds a good way, but then the top, maybe 4 inches of soil or something, will be all compost, and I'll just get bags of that to fill in there. Just to be able to get it. And then probably I'm going to layer it all. I'll have wood down there and, cardboard wood, some dirt, and then straw, and then some more dirt, and then compost. So just going to kind of layer everything in. And I did that with a couple other beds, and they turned out really good. Oh, a different aunt. Okay. Our sincerest condolences there. The dirt, what was it? The 7 yards plus it has 130, 150. Yeah, it's about $30. Wait a minute, 7 yards, $20 a yard. $25 a yard, 25 to 30. I can't remember. I got prices on several different things, and I'd have to go back and look at my thing. But yeah, pretty much that. And of course, the delivery fee for that. And you did hugelkultur to fill your raised bed. Excellent. Yeah, I did that. Like you said, for some of my other beds, and that's really worked out well for them. That soil, I had the watermelon and everything in there this year, and they grew great, and that soil stayed looser than any of the other soil in the garden. So definitely is worth it to be building it up with other stuff in there. So you get a garden mix, 50% loam. Nice. I have not found anybody in the area who has composted soil at all, in that way. So for me, I have to buy the bags of compost and add it to them. Now, if I had a huge garden and had to do it, it would be unreasonable for me to be buying, 200 bags of compost or something. But, I wish I had somebody who could just come in and leave a pile of compost. That would be nice. But in the meantime, I do what I can do with what I've got here. So we are going to talk about, I've talked about like the benefits of onions before. We did that. Straight compost, $40. Okay. Well, compared to, I mean, I spend what, $2, $2.50. The price has gone up. It used to be like $1.69. So it's like $2.50 to almost $3 now for a bag of compost. And every year I usually put one in each bed. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit to get that in. So when you get $40, if I think of buying $40 worth of compost, that's like 12 to 15 bags or something like that, which when you come down to it, it doesn't go that far. So your garden bed is full of branches, bark, leaves. Good for you. Yes, ordering soil is outrageous. So, hey, Michigan Daffodil, thank you. I know this is a time of before, during, and after dinner. So, you guys doing that? That's super. Hey, Bonnie, hello. I'm glad you could make it. So you can eat purple onions, not supposed to eat white onions. Ah, okay. Yes, there are different kinds of onions. They're the white, red, yellow, sweet, and green onions. So the white onions are often described as being the mildest for eating, either fresh or cooked into a recipe. To bring out the sweet, mellow taste of the onion before preserving, thinly slice them and soak them in cold water for about an hour. So that'll help draw the flavor out into that a little bit. So, oh, nice, Vani, that is excellent. The red onions, or Alicia like said, purple is kind of the same thing. They have a less sweet taste to them and a more sharp flavor than white onions. They give a beautiful color to any recipe that calls for onions and are often used for grilling. They also boast a lower glycemic index, so they're not as sweet as an onion. I would think, oh yeah, doing like fermenting red onions is just beautiful. The colors just come out like crazy. Yeah, I really like those too. So, oh, that's super cute. Yeah, leaves, absolutely. Fill them up too. And because it's fall, I'll be able to throw some leaves into my garden beds too. So I'll be adding that in there too. Then yellow onions are commonly referred to as Spanish onions. So you see a yellow Spanish, whatever, as a title. They have a more distinct and sharp flavor than all other onion varieties. And now these are the ones that are often used for caramelizing. They do the best. So that's one of the preservation methods we're going to talk about. But you have to caramelize them first. So using yellow onions for caramelizing. And caramelizing is just cooking them down in a little bit of oil and everything, and or fat could be whatever you want, butter, oil, tallow, anything like that. Excuse me. But they just cook them down and cook them down, and they reduce down until they get this nice caramely color to them. And they're great for like putting on hamburgers and using like in a French onion soup and different things like that. So if you do those, it's just like amazing. All right, so that must be Matt. Caramelized onions are, yep. French, yes. Excuse me. French onion soup is very, very good. So, if you have your onions from the garden in the summer and you preserve them, then you can pull them out that way and make a really good soup out of that. So now sweet onions is actually a version of a white onion. But sweet onions have an increased sugar content that are more typical of white onions. Many regions in America have their own native variety of sweet onions, such as like Vidalia, Maui, and Walla Walla. So, which because of Walla Walla Ash. Oh, Sarah. Okay, Sarah. Um, you, but hubby actually chose a homestead jelly. Well, that's cool. You got to do that, Michigan Daffodil. Absolutely. And then the last kind of onions are the green onions, or like bunching onions. They're often referred to as scallions. They're a bunching onion that are typically harvested before they're mature and the bulb truly starts to form, so they can be eaten as greens. And those are really, they can be eaten raw or cooked, just like any other type of onion. So, yes, chives. Um, so they're commonly classified into two different types: mild and pungent. So the mild onions are your Vidalia, Spanish, Bermuda, Walla Walla sweet onions. Some other pungent varieties are Copra, Candy, Ebenezer, Red, Weathersfield. Those are just some that they listed. I'm sure there are plenty of others. Um, while mild onions, your Vidalia, your Spanish, all those kind of things, while they're juicy, large, and easy to peel, they're generally not good keepers. So when you're preserving, you've got to keep all these in mind. If you want to be doing, hanging them in the root cellar or in the garage or something for the whole winter, you want them to last 6 to 8 months or longer, you've got to think about the variety that you're going to grow, whether it's a keeper or not, or if you're just going to have them to have a few to eat fresh and then can them, or whatever you're planning on doing. So before you even choose your seeds to grow, it's good to kind of know how you want to preserve things. So, hey, Gail, hello. Hi, Christy. Can you make onion jelly or relish? I have not. And one of the links that I put on below the show notes actually has a recipe for onion relish. So if you guys are interested in that. Oh, well, thanks, Gil, for coming on. I appreciate that. Who else do we have here? You've been given a ton of onions, white, yellow, and red. Need to find ways to preserve. Okay. They will all need different ways. You can't just like lump them in. Um, so again, the mild onions are not good keepers. These are most often used like tossing into a cheeseburger or cook them in soups or casseroles, that type of thing. Um, and the quality of mild onions, even when properly preserved, often begins to diminish after a few months. So you got to think about that one. Now, there are different ways of preserving. I'm going to talk about storing them just whole in many different ways of that: dehydrating, canning, pickling them, freezing, or freeze drying. So, hello, Harvey. Welcome. Um, yeah, I've heard onion jelly is really good. You get that like sweet, tangy kind of thing in there. So, Miss T, I did that last year actually. Yes, you can put them on low temp in the oven. Make sure it's like as low as you possibly can go. Um, but I did that. I did did a whole bunch, dehydrated them, then ground them into powder. So I have um, green onion powder that I can now add to whatever I want. Like a pasta dish or something like that would be really good. You can even throw it into a tomato mix if you wanted more onion flavor, all that kind of stuff. So, but the green in a pasta thing it would look really good, especially if you're using like a pesto or something. And um, you didn't dry your onions; you made it into powder enough last time to make sure. Okay, yeah, it's amazing how few greens can go such a long way, and will last you a long time too. So great on a burger or hot dog. Um, I don't know that you put onion jelly on a hot dog or a burger. Dave, maybe if you have an idea, I would think. I mean, you could do it on like an onion bagel or something like that, but I would think too, like use it on when you're grilling to put some on a meat, which would be really good, like on a pork chop or something with some onion jelly on a pork chop, or um, you know, I don't know. I think of like a sweet jellies with flavors like that on a lot of pork things, ham, different things like that, more than a beef, like or a steak or something like that. I don't know, just because ham tends to be, or pork tends to be a little salty anyway, so I just like putting that extra little sweet stuff on there. So I'm not sure. So we dried diced onion in the dehydrator. I did it many, many years ago, Dave. Absolutely. And they do store well. They really do. Oh yeah, on a pulled pork sandwich. Yes, onion jelly, sausages. Ooh, yep, yeah. There you go. Um, so yeah, let me get back to here. So storing onion bulbs in the pantry. So again, the white onions aren't good storage ones. The yellow ones. Um, let me see. White, yellow, and red raw onions can be kept in the regular pantry for 2 to 3 months. The key is to use a cool, dark area. Oh, sorry. That is warmer than the refrigerator, but not room temperature. Somewhere around 45 to 55 degrees works best. Excuse me. And you can store them. You want to make sure there's plenty of airflow around them. You can store them in a paper bag. You can put them in a mesh bag, burlap. You can braid them. I have a link below in the notes there on how to braid onions. There are lots of other videos out there too of how to make an onion braid, and then you can just go and cut an onion off every time you need it. So off this braid, and works out really, really pretty cool. All right. The one thing is, do not keep it in a warm area. Don't store them in a warm area, or do not store them in plastic bags. I would even hesitate putting them like in like a plastic clothes basket or something, because you still have the whole bottom layer is solid, and there's an inability for it to breathe down there. So so put onion in pantyhose legs with knots between each onions and cut off. Use excellent idea. Very, very good. There's so many creative ideas and way to hang them or whatever. Now, if you're in a milder climate where it won't freeze during the winter, if you have a garage or a shed that it just doesn't get below freezing in the winter, store them out there, and which will be great. So otherwise in a root cellar, that type of thing. So sweet onions are fragile, and they bruise easily, and they do not last long in storage. So if you get them, plan to use them within a week or so. You can leave them out on the counter, but they're, like I said, they're fragile and they go bad very easily. You can separate the sweet onions by wrapping each onion individually in paper towels, then placing them in a brown paper bag in the refrigerator. That will help them to last up to a month. So that's kind of a good thing. You red onion you started 7 months hanging in your kitchen. Awesome. Oh, that's so great. Thanks, Patty. Yeah, and like Grandma's so happy is saying, even if your basement doesn't get cold enough, if you have an area in your basement that you can make into like, if there's a closet in there, or if even if you can just get some insulating, like the 2-inch thick sheets of insulation, the foam board, and just cut into like, a box or something and stick it down there. That maybe that'll help keep things colder. Put them in against a cold side or something. I don't know, but that might be something to think about. Oh, that's so cool, Dave. That is great. Yeah, the key is to make sure that when you go to store them, they're not wet at all or moist, that the necks have completely dried up. There's nothing green popping out on them. And when you go to pull them from the garden, just brush off as much of the dirt as you can. Try not to, I've done both ways. I've just left them kind of dirty with the original skins on them, and I've also peeled off all the outer layers to allow it to create a new fresh skin. And it can go either way. I think they do better if you just leave the original skins on them, even if they're dirty, and then when you go to use them, just clean them up in that way. So yeah, super dry before you braid them. Exactly. Then you can, if you want to freeze them, you can cut them up, freeze them in small batches. Let's say you normally use 1/4 of a cup of diced onions or something like that for a frittata, or a soup, or browning some ground meat or something like that. Or if you want to cut something, cut them up and then freeze them in those portions, and then put them in a small bag, and then put them again inside like a gallon freezer bag or something, because that will not only help them last longer, but it will also help them to sorry, I feel like I'm coming down with a cold again, which is not good. That will help them. Where was I? I totally was. Okay. Oh, this is not good. At least I'm not like in front of this. I'm on stage in front of an audience, which I've done that before, singing and totally forgot the words and just kind of kept going and going. And it's like, I don't know. Oh, but freezing. Yes. It'll help keep the smell out of your freezer too. I often will take an onion and chop them up and everything and bag it and put it in the fridge. So I've got, them all ready to go. So thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate that. I've just got so much to do. I think I jumped into things again too quickly here. So probably wasn't quite fully over things before. So you can freeze them in that. You can, if you only want little portions of them, you can put them in like an ice cube tray. Probably wouldn't want to use them for ice cubes again after that, because you get that full nice onion flavor in there. But again, those are small portions, and you can just throw them into something else. So, and those are great for quick sauteing recipes. So if you want to dehydrate them, you can use any type of onion for dehydrating. And if you want, you don't have to make them like a certain exact type of thing, except that the thickness. Like if you want to make full slices, make sure that they're all like 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch or something like that. Just because when you're dehydrating them, you want to make sure that there aren't some that are like turning brown from crispy, and then others are still, still flimsy and still have moisture in them and stuff like that. After Chrissy, that's cute. Nana Dory. Or onion, yeah. Exactly. Yes, there you go, Patty. Absolutely, keep the odor down. Try some stir-fried sliced zucchini with seeds, garlic, onion, and tomato. Okay, thank you. I will do a screenshot of that, actually. Boop, there we go. So anyway, because the onions, when they dehydrate, I would say cut them how you want them to be when you're using them. If you want to, if your purpose is to have a jar full of um, diced dehydrated onions, just the little pieces, so you have them all the time. For that, you just want to throw them into soup or whatever. Then chop them up that way, and they're going to shrink way down. So keep that in mind. So you probably want to make the pieces a little bit bigger than what you normally would, because they will shrink up a lot. Well, there you go. Hey, Deb, how are you? So anyway, once you are cutting the onions, because they dehydrate so, they shrink way up, and you don't want them falling through your dehydrator trays. Put a layer of parchment paper down on your trays so that when you dehydrate them, they're fine. Now, dehydrating onions is a very smelly business, and everyone in the house will definitely know what you're doing. If they're really powerful, you might want to do your dehydrator in the garage or something like that. But you'll know when they're done when they're very, very crisp, and they will click like on the countertop. It'll sound like nails or something like that. But and they'll just be very, very hard and crispy. Now you can take those also and then put them in like a spice grinder or something like that and grind them up really powdery, and then you have some onion powder. So love the smelly. Oh, that's so good. All right. So then I would just store them in, the pieces, just store them in a mason jar. And I would also take the, if you have an attachment to vacuum seal it, that would be the best thing to do, is to vacuum seal them for really long-term storage. Yeah, and especially in garlic too. Exactly, Michelle. Garlic and onion, if you don't want your, unless you're able to open all the windows in the house and everything, but definitely do that. Oh, that's so great, Deb. Awesome. Oh, yes, habanero. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, the hot peppers. Okay. So, yeah, you can use, like I said, a spice blender, a coffee grinder, food processor can work too. Just depends on how good your blades are, all that kind of thing. And I like using like a little coffee grinder, a spice grinder type of thing, because it really gets it powdery. Let me see. The other thing you could do before you dehydrate them, it may take a little bit longer to dehydrate them, but you can again soak them in some water, or at least rinse them or something, and then pat them dry. But that water ends up helping to take off some of that sulfur compound there that is what has that ability to make you cry and everything. So some moisture absorber in there too would be great. Absolutely. Okay, another way to preserve them is pickling them. So if you can pickle them in a couple different ways in the way of their shape. You can slice them up and, like cut your onion in half, especially if you have a nice big onion, and just cut it in half and then just thin slices. So you have like half rings or something, and just stuff them in a jar and then put, like vinegar or apple cider vinegar in there, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, and then just let them ferment. And really, really, really quickly there. And so that's a really good thing if you want fermented, pickled onions. Yep, fermented onions. So you could do that with the slices. If you have a whole bunch of really little onions, like mine did not grow very well this year. So I think I had really old sets that I ended up getting in a little bit later. So they just didn't take off right away. So mine are, I think the biggest ones are maybe 3 inches in diameter, not very big at all. So I had a lot of smaller ones. So what I could do is take like the smaller ones and, like if they're 3/4 of an inch or an inch in diameter or something, and just peel them and then just put them all in a jar. And I could pickle them that way, fermenting with the pickle, or I could actually pickle them and can them that way. So I have canned pickled onions if I wanted to do that. So there's different recipes. You look in your, if you have a ball book or something, whatever canning book you have for recipes, even online, you can go and check them online. So the little ones might be good in a home canned stew or chili starter. Exactly. Yep. Hi, Drops. How are you? You did onions with dill and garlic with your pickled eggs. Ooh. Ooh, very good. Yep. And it's, you could certainly just pick out an onion and just eat it, but even if it's a fermented onion, add it to something else too. You're still getting some good benefits. So exactly. All right. So the other way is to caramelize them. And this is something I really want to do. I have a link below the video. If one of my mods wants to put that up too. It's Whippoorwill Holler. Last year she did a video on caramelizing onions and just, like I said, cooking them down until they're all caramelized, and then she canned them. And so you can do them whatever size jar you would be using them most. I would probably, for myself, can them in an 8-ounce jar, so a half pint. Yes, caramelize the store, Dave. So, just in a half pint jar, because I wouldn't use a lot of them at a time. And so you just open it up, take them out, and you can just put them on your pizza, put them on your hamburgers or whatever. So they're all ready to go. And you don't have to go through that step when you're preparing a meal. They're all ready. So, yes. So you can caramelize any variety, but the yellow and the red ones tend to turn out the best. So, and you can use them for salad toppings too, and they're excellent for that way. So, so we've got freezing, pickling, and fermenting, canning them. Again, it could take the small ones and stuff them in there and can them whole too. I'd have to use the pressure canner because onions are a low acid food, so you cannot water bath can onions. So if you're going to can them, make sure you do whatever your guide is for your canner for onions. I don't know off the top of my head what that is at this point, but so and then dehydrating pieces, slices, powder, storing them whole by hanging them, drying, make sure they're good and dry, braiding them. You can lay them out on racks, put them in bins or baskets or different bags, that type of thing. And then the last one would be freeze drying them for those very, very lucky few who have access or have a freeze dryer. But you can definitely, slice them again, lay them out. And I think probably the greatest thing that people do for onions when they freeze dry them is to powder them afterwards. So they have their onion powder. And it's just easier to store that way. There's not as much, it doesn't take up much space or anything like that. So thank you, Alicia. I appreciate that. Yes, Drops. Freeze dryers are very expensive. And, if you're close to other people and there's a community of homesteaders around you or something, and if, you're able to if either one family is able to get one, or you can go together and buy one and share it. You know, it's, but I know that for those serious gardeners and preservers, they have them running 24/7 through the summer and the fall. So it's kind of, you know, they stay very busy. Let's put it that way. So so yes. So in the links below, Rockin' W Homestead has all these different ways to preserve onions, and they also include a recipe for spicy pickled sweet onion relish. So oh yes, Kiri, there's that does keep you busy. Um, then Whippoorwill Holler has the caramelized onions, canning the caramelized onions. I know, what a game changer, right? And then New Life on Homestead has more tips on preserving. Then Homestead and Chill, they talk about freezing roasted onions. And that looked really, really intriguing. They actually will take the onions, roast them in the oven, and then freeze like whole sections of the roasted onions so that you already, and then they can just take one out. They almost look like a really thin rice cake or something, it's just like they're already done, and they put them in containers so they can just pull out one at a time from the freezer. And it's like, Dave, that's going to be your new favorite thing to do. I can just see you're going to be on it right away this week. Did you put a crowbar in your wallet? I hear you, Drops. Absolutely. Yep. It's, oh, thanks, Eliza. I appreciate that so much. I hope you have a great dinner. Roast onions and radishes together. Ooh, there you go. And then there's a link also down there for braiding onions and how to do that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with all of these onions, not just throwing them in a bin or a cardboard box and like, okay, hopefully they'll last in the basement or the cellar or something like that. So sweet onion sauce. Ooh. Frozen. Okay, well, great, Patty. Yes, there's all kinds of amazing things to do, and I think just really look through your canning books, your cookbooks, whatever, and try to find the different things. But knowing what you eat and how you would like the onions available for you, if you are an onion powder person, then that would be the direction that you would want to go. Dehydrate and then powder them up, if that's what you use a lot of. If you like to have caramelized onions on a lot of things and you want them ready to go, then yeah, so you can make them and can them by the quart like Dave will need. And you can do all kinds of things, but to know that the caramelized onions, they reduce a lot. So you can have like a gallon of cut up onions and they'll reduce down to maybe a pint. So, hey, Ricky, hello. No problem. No problem. So I just want to thank all my mods while you guys are still here, and for being here and all that you do. And you guys check out their channels if you can. But yeah, so, and that's another thing with gardening, grow what you eat. If you do not like eggplant, don't grow eggplant. If you really don't like tomatoes or you're allergic to them and you can't do that, don't grow tomatoes. Don't feel pressured because everybody's growing tomatoes. Why aren't you growing tomatoes? It's like, grow what you eat. So keep that in mind as you plan for next year and start getting your seeds. I've already started ordering some seeds here and trying, looking through and organizing my stuff and kind of seeing what I have that I have gaps in for next year and everything. So Onion braiding is a good around the kitchen table or picnic table thing. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you have, you know, let's say you've got, a couple friends or one or two, three, or whatever, however many friends you might have, and they've got an onion supply too, and you have a braiding bee, braiding party or something. Um, all right, my garden tip for tonight: you're processing elderberries. Oh, nice. Oh, Patty, that's so fun. I bet they'll still be purple by Wednesday. Um, my garden tip is make sure you clean your old plants out of your beds. Discard them. Don't leave them in a pile or leave them over there to overwinter, because they will retain the disease even in a Minnesota winter. When they get frozen and piled with snow and everything, they can still retain some disease in there. Just to have it all cleaned out and fresh for spring. You heard that bagged fertilizer may be hard to find next year. Yes, absolutely. Things are getting more and more difficult to find. So as you can get them now, and the stores will be getting rid of their summer stock if they have anything left over. So if there's anything out there, try to grab it now and put it away for next year. Exactly. And then my prep tip is, if you are able to, get a small fireproof safe. And it doesn't have to be, a big one or anything. It can be just a small one, a fireproof one. You might spend $30 or $40 on it or something, but get that to keep important documents in. And then start adding some emergency cash to that too. Just saying. The way the world is going right now, just add some emergency cash into it. So that's my prep tip for the night. Oh, that's awesome drops. That is so great. Shelves fully stocked. That's good to know. Hopefully it will stay that way. So, hi, Connie. How are you? I'm sorry I didn't see you before. Yeah, and there's different sizes, different things. Probably want to make sure, like I said, make sure it's fireproof. So if something were to happen, it's there. Mine is, you may want one that's portable, so that if you have to leave, it's not like you have to get a crane and haul it in, put it in the back of a pickup or something like that, but something that you can grab with you and run with if you needed to. Like, if there's fires or earthquakes or hurricane or whatever, that's going through. So you've seen all the stuff that's been going on. So you just want to make sure that you've got important documents in there, like, car titles, your, mortgage papers, different things like that. It's just really important to keep safe. If you don't have them, like, safe deposit box somewhere. So anyway, I hear you, Dave. Yep. Yeah, you don't want to tell anybody where you've got things hidden, that's for sure. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Talking about onions. Okay, all of those that you made hungry, you have to go. Yes. You have quick stash of peppers. Yes, you can grab. Yep. That is a good tip, Miss T. Absolutely. Put them in a Ziploc baggie in case of floodwater. Yep. And the floodwater doesn't have to come from, it doesn't have to be floodwater coming up from, what if, there was such a bad storm that it, took your roof off, and then all of a sudden, it's torrential rains and it's soaking everything in the house too. So that's, ooh, a blooming onion. There you go. Yeah, get one of those too. So, all right, guys, you take care. God bless. Have a great week, and we will see you here next Monday. And it'll be a good week, right? Spam just interrupted your live. Oh, that's right. So always have hope. All right, you guys. Good night.